So my name is Amy Tyre. I am a master level yoga teacher. I am a master level life coach. I help high achieving professionals who feel stuck, most often because they've met all the goals they've set for themselves and still have an underlying sense of dissatisfaction. In addition to that, I'm also the creator of a unique digestive coaching program called the Digestion Coach.
Very cool. And you've got a story to share with us today. Where in this world does that story begin?
I do. So for me, it starts as far back as middle school, or as far back as I can remember, where I suffered from IBS, although I guess at the time they didn't even call it IBS. I just know I came home from middle school and had tremendous gas pains and cramps and discomfort. And then fast forward that irritable bowel syndrome after my daughter was born turned into a undiagnosed case of ulcerative colitis. Fast forward to my daughter's now in kindergarten, and I'm in a really bad place in my life, right? Really one of the low points in my life. I refer to this period in my life as being in the bottom of a hole. Things are not going well at home. My digestive issues are at an all-time low. I remember driving my kids to school and scanning the horizon for a bathroom because the urgency was so desperate. I would have explosions of blood and mucus, and it was so bad that I was really convinced that I was dying. I remember asking my husband if he thought he could raise the kids should I no longer be around.
Wow.
I started with traditional medicine, Western medicine, and not only could they not help me, they made me worse. So I set out on a path to heal myself. I don't know why I thought I could, but I thought I could. And first I went through a whole period of years of going through all the alternatives that you could think of. I saw multiple naturopaths, I saw chiropractors, I saw a doctor of traditional Chinese medicine, I saw a classical homeopath, and all those things gave me some relief, but really nothing was lasting. A turning point, or one of the turning points, was when she was in kindergarten. I met a medical intuitive, and that medical intuitive said to me, the root of your digestive issues is from not feeling your emotions. And the way you're going to heal yourself is by getting your emotions to surface. Now, at the time I was practicing yoga, but I wasn't teaching yet. And then literally the next week I'm in the yoga studio and I overhear an instructor named Dawn say to somebody else, for most people, this is a physical practice. And the moment the emotions surface, they run from the studio and they never come back. And when he was done with who he was speaking with, I went to him and said, Dawn, I'm trying to get my emotions to surface. And he said to me, you do this yoga every day for 60 days straight. And I promise you, those emotions will surface whether you choose to see them or not. And I did. And they did, and it was the beginning of what Bikram students would call a breakdown and Bikram would call a breakthrough. And that was really the beginning of my healing journey. After that, things improved, but they weren't completely healed. They would still come and go. They just were less frequent and they weren't quite as intense. Fast forward now, so we've gone from her birth to kindergarten. Now we're in she's 13 years old. It's Tuesday. She's going to be bat mitzvahed on Saturday. And I have a case of ulcerative colitis that comes on fast and furious like nothing I have ever seen before. Luckily, by then I had a really good doctor. I went to see my doctor and he said, don't worry, we'll fix you up. I'll get you through the weekend. I said, I cannot be like this. I have to be able to stand up there with her. I cannot be afraid I'm going to soil my dress. I cannot be afraid that I'm going to need to run to the bathroom. He said, don't worry, we'll get you through the weekend. And after that, we're getting you straight into the gastroenterologist to diagnose this once and for all. So as promised, he got me through the weekend. He got me into the gastroenterologist. The gastroenterologist was finally able to diagnose ulcerative colitis. And he put me on some very large blue capsules that I remember about this big. And I'm not even going to try to say the name of it because I'm sure I will butcher it. And those blue capsules got me stable. So at the end of 4 months, I went back to that gastroenterologist and I said, thank you very much for diagnosing what no one before you was able to diagnose. Thank you very much for getting me stable. And now with your help, I'd like to get off these medications. to which he responded with anger, right? He got angry with me. He said to me, if you stop taking these medications, this will come back. This is a lifelong condition. He must have seen something in my eyes, because he must have seen the determination or something, because literally he spent an hour with me and I explained that I wanted to try to heal it. And he said, how do you think you can do that? And I said, I think I can do it with diet. And he heard me out and he said, it's a very difficult thing to do. And I said, well, I think I can do it. And I said to him, however, I need a really good gastroenterologist in my camp. But I want somebody who's going to celebrate with me if I'm successful, and he's not going to chastise me if I fall off. Will you be that guy? To which, by then, big smile on his face, he says, of course I'll be that guy. And that was the last time I saw him. I changed my diet. I changed my relationship with my life. And I was able to get my symptoms to subside. It took me about a decade to say that out loud. Now my daughter's high school age. I jump into something I had wanted to do for the prior 6 years. I jump into a healing emphasis yoga training program. And in that program, it's a 2.5-year course of study in using yoga to heal, which, right, was super interesting to me. And so at the end of the program, we needed to do a practicum. And in that practicum, I wanted to do yoga for digestion.
Jump on in.
So I asked him, will you be that guy? And with a big smile on his face, he enthusiastically said yes. And that was the last time I saw him, because I didn't need him. Essentially, with his help, I tapered off the medications, and I have not had a symptom of ulcerative colitis since. And that is over a decade ago.
Whoa.
So fast forward, now my daughter is high school age. My kids are more independent. I have the time to delve into some things that I'd wanted to do. And I jumped into a master yoga training program called Healing Emphasis Yoga. It's a unique program. It's about 2.5 years. And at the end of the program, you have to do a practicum, which basically means you run a workshop with some kind of healing emphasis using yoga. I wanted to do yoga for digestion. The co-directors of the program at the time did not think that I would find enough on that. They urged me to do something else. So I let sleeping dogs lie, and I did something else. And now my daughter's going off to college. Again, I have more time on my hands. I go from coach training right into master coach training. And in master coach training, they basically ask us to envision our ideal coaching scenario. Basically what they're asking, what we're being tasked to do is really find in yoga we call our dharma, or find our purpose, or find our life purpose, and figure out how that's into our coaching. And then we get challenged to go out and create it. Now for me, in the visioning exercises, I saw very little, and I went off with what I had. And with the incredible coaching of my peers, what I learned was, or what I uncovered, was that coaching for me was part of something bigger. And that coaching was part of a bigger umbrella of something that I nicknamed the digestion coach. Because coaching was the last remaining pieces that were missing when I was in healing emphasis yoga training. What I realized was I couldn't ask everybody to do the yoga that I did. Like, it just wasn't, it's not going to be right for everybody. And I was missing some tools, and that master coach training gave me those tools. And then we were tasked with going out and creating it. And the reason was they wanted us to, we were basically doing exactly what we asked our clients to do, right? And the person who was training us, I believe, wanted us to see all the fears and all the things that come up that hold you back, and to use all the tools at our disposal to basically self-coach ourselves through. So that is how the digestion coach was born, right? There's multiple components of it. The gist of it is our digestion is just as individual as we are, and there is no one right size fits all for everyone. There is an empowerment component. Our digestion falls right under the third chakra, which is our center of empowerment. So if that area of the body is weak, most likely our empowerment is weak. There's an emotional component, which was the piece that I learned from the medical intuitive of needing to get my emotions to surface. And then there's a very important food component, and the food isn't just what we eat. It's how we eat, when we eat, why we eat, all those things play a role. So to the best of my knowledge, I've not seen anything else like this out there. And I really felt a responsibility to create it. People are suffering in enormous ways, and they don't realize that there's more they can do to help themselves.
Incredible. So the many puri
Chakra.
in the stomach, the fire chakra, right under the diaphragm.
Manipura chakra, yeah. When you do Agnisara, you're really energizing that.
Agnisara for us real quick, so I can experience what that is.
Agnisara is breath of fire. It's to increase the digestive fire. It's where this Agnisara and this Bhastrika Pranayama, we kind of use both in the program, but it's such a small piece of it. But it's basically where you breathe a certain way to bring energy there. I learned in Healing Emphasis yoga training is that if you change your mind, you'll change your body, and if you change your body, you'll change your mind. So we basically approach it from both directions. And then what I learned from some yoga therapy training is you start with whatever's most accessible. So what one person needs might be different than another, but you got to understand the full picture of what's impacting you.
How quickly can you uncover this with someone when you're coaching them?
How quickly can I uncover
Could you
it?
break me down? Like, could you tell me where to come from for my own life? Because this like role in life, who you are supposed to be, who you are, right? This reminder of who you are. My understanding is your dharma is whatever you are doing as well, but when you are in alignment, you are also walking a certain path that is less resistant, and it's aligned and has all the emotions correctly centered through your chakras. And so I feel like right now, and let me tell you why I ask, because this is on this path right now, okay? I've had to shift roles a little bit recently. Like I'm a lot more of a dad right now. And my identity with being an entrepreneur has come into conflict with that intensely, and I've had to reset my expectations, and I've had to learn how to not stress about things and delegate more. There's a whole like business element to it. But I often have felt like there's like purpose lacking. Like I haven't quite figured out my dharma. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I kind of want to be YouTubing all the time. I kind of want to be podcasting all the time. You know, I need there's something that I'm focusing on that is upsetting like the balance and flow in my life. And I think a lot of it came from the fact that like we used to be Mormon and we left that religion, and then we moved and tripped on psychedelics, you know what I mean? Like there was a lot of like changes in self-work that we were trying to go through. And while I feel a lot better, the thing that I have come up with recently is to treat my like a video game. And this sounds ridiculous because I'm a total nerd. Got a whole shelf of World of Warcraft games behind me, but I wake up and I have this haiku that I wrote for myself that said, "Life is just a game. You are here to level up. Do it for the plot." And so I start to think about like completing quests and achievements and strength and conditioning and discipline. And it has become I'm trying to like embody that. And it has gotten me pretty close to my dharma. It feels a little bit ridiculous, but it's getting me along the path. So kind of like back to the original question is like, can you help me in 5 minutes kind of like get in the right direction and start thinking about the right things? I mean, I feel like I've got literally the master here. How does it work?
All right, let me try to answer. I feel like there's two questions in there. The first
Maybe
one
10.
had to do with digestive coaching, I think, and how long can it take, right? The core of the program is 5 weeks. The program as a whole is 9 weeks. Are people going to be healed in 9 weeks? Maybe, maybe not. But they're going to learn all the things they need to know, or the things that I know that I shouldn't say all the things that I know that I can teach them to get to know themselves better. And then 5 weeks of sort of the core modules, and then the is with implementation, because it would be hard to do, so that you can be coached along the implementation path. That's one. The second question, what I'm hearing is, how long does it take for someone to uncover their dharma? Can I do it in 5 minutes?
5 minutes. That's the
And the
assignment.
yogi gods are like laughing at
You're
this question
here. I'm
because it's
levitating. You can't see it on camera, but I'm off the ground.
so it's of a lifelong process of uncovering our dharma. Can I help you do it in 5 minutes? Probably not, right? Do I have a whole toolkit of coaching tools to help people along this path? Yes, I do. When you look at my particular experience here and feeling the need to create this digestive coaching program, there's a few things at work that might point to Dharma. The first one is I was following the path of fascination. Okay, so first I set out to heal myself and I was reading anything I could find, but I was sort of on a mission, on a path. When I went into healing emphasis yoga training, I did not know why. I just knew it interested me. So much so that halfway into the training, I got very frustrated with the directors of the program. And I was like, well, what exactly are you teaching us to do here? Because I didn't see the methodology that I was looking for. And then I realized, oh, they can't tell me because I have to figure out how to use this for me, for other, like, what is my unique take on this? Coaching's the same thing. You learn all these tricks and tools, but what are you going to apply it to? And the best coaches are the ones that have filtered it through themselves and figured out, here's where I can heal, right? Here's where I can help people heal. And usually it comes from our own experience. So one is following the path of fascination, right? That's what brought me into healing emphasis yoga training. That's what brought me into coach training, this particular coach training. That's what brought me into master coach training. It's that thing that Steve Jobs said at his Stanford commencement address, that when you look at your life, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect the dots looking back. So I just told you a story from when as far back as middle school to where I am now, where, my kids are in college. Now they're past college. There's a lot of time period in there. I was following the path of fascination. That is one of the ways that we moved our true purpose. The second one that comes to mind, and where people get tripped up, where we're trying to operate from our true self, as opposed to what in most spiritual traditions would call the ego self. In my coach training would be called your social self. Your social self is your self that does what's expected of you. It does what society expects of us. It does what our culture expects of us. And we do that, like animals. If we do, it's innate. We don't fit in with the pack, we get expelled from the pack. And if we get expelled from the pack, we die. That's why we do the things, right? And it's kind of the unique individual that, doesn't faze them. If our true self and our social self are aligned and we're moving on the same path, all's well. When our true self and our social self veer off, that's where we start to get into trouble. That's where the dissatisfaction starts to set in, right? So when I said I went to see a doctor and by then I found a really good doctor, I was convinced his dharma was to be a doctor, right? He was walking his path, right? Not only was he a highly competent doctor, he loved being a doctor. He was a really good doctor, right? Because he was doing what was meant for him, not what his parents expected of him or his teachers expected of him or that kind of thing. So where was I going with that? Yes. So we want our true self and our social self to be aligned. And so we want to check in with our true self. And one of the ways we check in with our true self is by going inside, not by going outside. Like most of us make our decisions on what we see externally, and we want to make our decisions based on what we feel internally. That's why getting my emotions to surface was crucial. If you do not know what you're feeling, and most of us don't, or we're not really intimately connected to it, there is no way we can respond to life with integrity. The way we know how to respond to life with integrity is by knowing what's going on the inside. Some people do it through meditation, right, and regular practice. Some people maybe can get there through prayer. I mean, I've seen some various people that I think got there through prayer. Maybe ayahuasca, right, works for some people. And then we have coaching tools to help people uncover that, which is basically what we were tasked to do when we were in master coach training.
So the releasing of emotions, absolutely, yeah, no, and I have a bazillion more questions, but we got a lot of really good content, enough to make a show.
Okay.
And I want to fill in the blanks with you. And I want to talk about emotions. And I want to talk about the sacral chakra. And I want to talk to you about a vision that I was able to have when I was meditating on my sacral chakra in Hawaii. And I want to break that down with you, and I really want to do a part 2. Are you down to do a part 2 podcast?
I'm down to do a part 2.
All right, cool. I will for sure triage the problem that I'm having with my internet pretty quickly, because this is my whole livelihood. So we'll be able to schedule some time right away. So,
All right, here's what I didn't get to. So just remember, the growth opportunity is in the discomfort.
I don't want to hear that. Honestly, so I've been waking up, and this is the entrepreneur's like boon. What, bane? But I think both. You wake up, and it's like you're shot out of a rocket, and you've got cortisol just coursing through your nervous system. And I've been there for like a year. Like in the build phase of business. And a lot of it self-inflicted because I wasn't focusing. And it's finally starting to like level out. Our businesses are finally like cash flowing the way that they need to. And I stress so much about clients coming in, clients going out, payroll and all that kind of stuff. And thankfully, I'm super hyper aware of it. We are yogis in our household, without question, every day. I learned how to meditate on my chakras over a decade ago, and I've been working on it. But I feel like you said something that stood out to me that's really interesting. The way that you eat food is important to balance. And I recently completed a 7-day fast. Just water. Nothing, right? And I felt great. I want to do a part 2. I have to go meet with my employee for sure, though.
Okay.
Can we get some time on the calendar for like next week or the week after? This has been the Pulse Ox podcast. Please, if you found this episode valuable, give us a like on Spotify and share it with a friend.